Yo, what's going on? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Adorama, 42 West 18th Street here in New York. That is the actual store. This is not a green screen. You're welcome to come down here anytime. Susan Magnano knows that.
Yep, that's right. Thank you, Seth.
I every time I come across someone who knows you, they say your last name wrong, and then it infects my head. And then I'm like, I get all weird when I have to say your last name.
Don't be. I mean, you could say it however you like. I'll appreciate it. Magnano, whatever. American, Italian. I accept all accents.
Well, in New York, Italian is strong, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get going here, I just want to say a quick thanks to our sponsor, Intel. You know Intel. Everybody has used Intel some point in their life. You're probably using it right now. We are using it right now to stream this episode and everything out of the event space. And they just held their AI Everywhere event where they were talking about everything that's going on. They're very aware of what people are trying to do. And so they're trying to outfit you guys with the most computing power you can get, including their Core Ultra processors that are in the latest laptops here at Adorama. So check those out if you're looking for it. And I just want to give another shout out to Brulita. Thanks for the coffee.
Ooh,
cheers.
It's delicious. Cheers.
What'd you get?
I got a mocha. It's sweet and warm.
It's sweet and warm. I always go for black cold brew, and I feel like it's just a representation of
We're
my
in the
soul.
opposites right there.
Yeah,
I'm sweet and warm. You're cold and dark.
I get overheated so quickly that I always go with cold coffee. If anyone asks me what I want, I always say it's cold coffee, and then I just know I can at least get, because that'll get, okay, if this gets warm, I can drink it. If that gets cold, I'm like, I don't know, man.
I know it's going to get worse as the day goes on. That's why I'm going to drink it fast. So I apologize.
Go for it. So if you guys don't know Susan, she does some really cool stuff, and it's something that's close to my heart because we're both shutter draggers. Found it. Boom. We're going to get into some of that, but Susan also travels everywhere and chases the scene that she's looking for. Let's pop into a little bit of your stuff really quick just so you guys get the idea of what we're talking about here. So, I mean, she does a lot of light painting. That shutter is open and she is just flinging light around everywhere she can find it and creating the look she wants literally with her hands.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. And I think it's another method. I mean, you guys have seen similar things, but when you get it dialed and clean and you can produce it constantly every time, that's when you're really doing the technique, not oops, I got it.
Right. And it comes with a lot of practice. I'm not going to lie. I love doing light painting, but every time I do it, I learn something new. I think that's what's so exciting about it, right, Seth? You just keep growing your skills. And I don't feel like every form of photography is like that, but light painting is one of them.
I think shutter drag leaves you open to so many variables photographers and used to, because any photographer that gets like a little bit of a slow shutter goes, and they like freak out and put the camera down, Right.
It's true. And with shutter drag, I feel like you're experimenting with time, something that, you can actually get a unique photo with. And I think we both excel at trying to create something completely unique.
Yeah, we do it a little different. I try to do it for the, hey, Fernando, thanks for joining us. Hey. Oh, the Brulio logo's still up. Sorry, guys. We approach it differently. I try to use it purely almost for the idea of motion. And then you're doing it for an artistic, literally painting the light into your frame. And I think it's interesting because we were just talking before we went live, they use Olympus. And Olympus has a mode that is like made for people like us.
Oh my God, it is so amazing. It allows you to see your exposure as you're creating it. That's like the true form of artistry. It's like I put my LCD screen. I actually even bought a little screen that I can actually turn the screen around so I can watch my light painting as it's happening in real time.
You're like James Cameron with Avatar. He's like, I can't do Avatar unless I can see in real time the CGI.
And what's really cool about it is it doesn't overexpose the background.
Right.
So it has this base exposure that allows you to go into the scene, and it never overexposes unless you add light to it.
Yep.
So it gives you the time and it gives you the creativity. And I'm like, hey, I need a little bit more light there. I go back with my little magical wand. I add my little bit more light. And, that's how we're able to perfect pictures.
In camera. Right? So what's interesting about what she's saying is she chose the tool for what she's really trying to do, right? So you don't hear a lot about Olympus OM system. I'm sorry, it's OM system. It's kind of, you don't really hear too much about it, right? We always talk about like the big three brands, but when you realize what the other brands also offer, because you're not talking about it, you might unlock something you're not sure about that you even want. So the mode we're talking about is live comp. And what it basically does is it lets you take an exposure and then take another exposure but only records the new light that it senses. So if we shot a street scene, it sees those street lights, cool. It's not going to overexpose them again because it already got that. But now if it sees Susan's light wand, it's like, oh, that's new light in the scene. It records that. So it does like almost a smart double exposure.
Computational photography.
Computational photography.
So it's adding in just the added light. It's so brilliant, and it's very rare that any camera has this. The iPhone can capture with a couple apps a similar experience, but not at the quality that the Olympus can do it.
Quality and the control. I think you gain so much control. I don't care what anyone says. The iPhone's still trying to put wax on your skin and do weird things, and it's trying to give you the image it thinks you want.
Sure.
Your camera system that you're using, you're telling it what you're trying to do. It's just making it easier for you.
It totally is. It's giving you a tool set that no other camera can give you.
So what led you to drag in the shutter? Because I got to tell you, I remember specifically in probably like 4 of my classes on shutter drag, Susan was like front row with a notepad. And I'm like, she's up to something.
You know what? I always admire what he does, especially with the makeup, and he gets the blur so perfectly. And I was like, man, this guy, he's really mastered this technique. And I'm in his footsteps trying to get the shutter drag like he does. But
you got it. What are you talking about?
Different thing. I don't do the motion like he does. So I've just started incorporating motion with flash. So I'll get dancers to come into my scene and I'll dance them through my scene, but I'll pop flashes at them. A little bit different than what you're doing. I think you're a little bit more one movement, whatever.
I think the difference between the way we approach shutter drag is you're keeping the light so separate that it's its own entity and making the designs. I'm trying to get light reflecting off of like a person, and then they are that light source. So that's the two differences really. But your shutter drag, I think, I may be overstepping here, but I think your shutter drag came from your landscape days where you're like tripod, smooth glass water, the rainbows that you get.
Right.
You know, I remember you did a rainbow shot and you're like, I didn't even see that until I started dragging the shutter.
Right. Actually, so that was a moonbow actually.
Moonbow.
So something that happens.
That's a thing? Yeah, I didn't know about moonbows. Did you know about moonbows, guys?
Type in if you've seen a moonbow, because it's very rare. I was in Norway, and I was on a backpacking trip, a 6-week backpacking trip. I'd gone out. There was a full moon. I went out to shoot the stars because a storm was coming in, and I'm basically shooting across a lake, and it's complete darkness because I see these dark clouds. And, it's just like one of those, like, shoot and pray. Like, you don't know what you're shooting, especially in the dark. Like, I didn't even know what was out there because I had arrived after the sun had set. So I know there's mountains. I know there's something. I take a picture. And I look at the screen, I go, what the heck is that? And I see that there's a rainbow. And I look at my camera, that's where I saw it. And I look with my eyes, and I see there's a grayed out rainbow. It was strange. With my eyes, I could now see it because I could see them.
I kind of want to see that.
I know. And the wind starts picking up, and it was one of those things that you knew you only had minutes to capture this before the storm hit.
Is that up anywhere so I could show it?
I can pull it up for you.
It's so long ago.
It's a while ago. It's like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
I remember Susan talking about that image in 2017 right here when we used to do the Photo Brigade podcast, which is how we met, actually. I was teching that podcast.
It was a long time ago. It was so spectacular. I could find it on my phone.
I want to talk about this really quick. Okay. This is 100% a UFO.
So this is my newest type of light painting is with drones. So I'm actually...
dude, that's dope.
So I'm using a drone to actually light my landscapes because I feel like, what kind of power? I feel like a god. I can put the sun or the moonlight anywhere in the sky. So like this little pinnacle, this is from my workshop in Toronto Pinnacles. I put the light on this side, I put the light on that side, and then I said, well, let's actually do some light drawing where you actually see the light source in the picture and draw it around the...
How did you balance the drone for the extra weight?
Oh, 2 things. 2 ways I do it. So originally I was just using the landing light. So you can actually program your drone button on. I have the Mavic 3. I could program a button on my remote to just trigger while it's in the air. So I turn it on and off, and then you have to just learn how to do a circle, which you can use that spot and circle.
You know what? I'm going to pitch something to you, and you're going to think I'm crazy.
Tell me.
You should sell drone flight path presets to make designs in the sky with lights.
I love it. All right, I'm into it.
I mean,
you can do this.
Yes.
You can do this with GPS coordinates and such. I love it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. When I become a millionaire, I'm going to take you out to lunch.
Oh, all right. Man. No, I mean, honestly, but this is what I like about what you're doing is a lot of people learn shutter drag and they go the same shot that everybody's doing, the same things. And then you're like, if I put a drone in the sky, I could be God. She just said that. She
I felt like it. It's amazing, especially when you could go to areas where you can actually put the lights in the sky. Around
Yeah.
here, we're so limited because of all the flight patterns and
Right.
New York City rules. But when you go out west, it's like a free-for-all. You're sending the drones up, you're lighting, painting mountains, and then now you can create designs in the sky. It's something kind of cutting edge.
It is. That's awesome. Are you kidding me? It's like the newest skywriting I've ever heard. That's awesome. So, but how long did it take you to get that dialed down? Was it like flight after flight, or you were just kind of in it?
I mean, to be honest, you can program the drone to do the circle. So, I mean, that's the easiest pattern. Next, what I have up my sleeve will be a little bit more complicated. I'm still kind of working out different shapes, squares. That's when it gets
Okay,
complicated.
that's cool.
Circle is like, A of the alphabet. Now I'm working on C and D to try and do some more.
But now you got to elevate it. Now you got to find a lunar eclipse to circle around. Yeah, I want to see a triangle around a lunar eclipse.
I could do it.
I need it on my desk by 3. I need.
Where is there a lunar eclipse happening?
But that's crazy. You could really do stuff like that if you're thinking about. Man, that opens up a whole nother thing you can do. That's another space, literally, to do something, and that's cool, man. I almost cursed. You hear that?
What I think is most exciting about this is it's taking, everyone goes and takes regular pictures of landscapes, and you're at the mercy of the sun and the clouds. If you get an amazing sunset, heck yeah. But if you get a shitty sunset, excuse my language, then you're kind of at the mercy of the sun. But when you're shooting at night, you actually have complete control, except for some moonlight, and the moonlight is like the sunlight, but you can actually control it with your camera. But you can actually now add the light source, because you can never overpower the sun completely.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can add this light source on your landscape. Like, when are we ever adding a light
That's
source
true.
on our landscape? We're not.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And you're always trying to find places you like. I always look at you as more an adventurer, because I'm always,
Sure.
whenever I check in on you, it's like some crazy spot, Sedona with ghosts and aliens and stuff like
My
that.
specialty.
But people don't realize that those landscapes that she's shooting are in complete black. Like, you have to work in just dark. That just getting, first of all, comfortable, finding a place, you have to see the place with no light in your head to then create what you're doing.
Right. Well, it actually helps to see with a little bit of light. So I do all my scouting during the day, and then I can kind of visualize, well, what will this look like? Like, what can I do that will make this
Right.
interesting? Where can I add my little things? And I do low-level lighting. Are you familiar with low-level lighting?
Give it to me. Do it.
Low-level lighting is when you actually just put a light on a light stand and you shine light on your subject for the duration of your exposure. Similar to what I'm doing with the drone, but that's more like light painting, because I'm turning the light on and off.
Gotcha.
So I'll come with my nan lights, I'll set them up on my scene, and then I'll make them funky colors.
Yeah.
So now I have now I'm adding colors and vibrance, because if you're going to add light, why not add color? So then I think about, okay, that's good. And then I add my light tools, and then I add a drone, because why not?
You must be going nuts with tubes. Like, tubes must be your thing.
I love tubes.
Yeah.
But I love fiber optics. I go everywhere with it. I love light blades I get from the guy selling them on the street. Like, you ever see that guy
Yep.
selling the light blades at the holiday thing? They're just like, it's like a holiday light stick that glows. The little guy with the cart.
Brooklyn dollar stores are a shutter dragger's best friend, because there's always something that they try to get you to buy because it lights up.
Yeah, it's for me too. I see these kids who are like, ooh, and then there's Susan chasing after the little cart with lights too.
But what I was trying to get at with the whole seeing the thing in the dark
Oh yeah.
was Susan's constantly planning. Like, what you're seeing about her work isn't like an accident, which is what a lot of shutter drag people tend to do, is like, I think this is good because it looks weird. No, you're like there the day before. You're trying to figure out where you're going to be, your vantage point is.
Sure.
Then you got to figure out your exposure, because also you guys have to realize these long exposures, you're prone to things, not just random light sources getting into your sensor, because most photographers aren't used to having a shutter open that long. Like a clock radio could throw you out of whack sometimes. But you're also prone to things like your sensor getting overheated, more noise getting into your camera just getting warm and shutting down when it's not. Like, these are just things that cameras weren't thought to do for what you're doing. So I think you're constantly having to figure it out. And even if you figured that shot out, the next one's so different, you're from square one again.
It's true. I am always building an arsenal. So it's like, okay, mastered that. Then I try and take an element of that and bring it to the next photo. The one thing that I think a lot of people who are starting to do shutter drag and do light painting like we do it in location, that they don't know right away what to do is they don't blend the lights and the ambient. So when you're shooting in a studio, it's easy. You're just exposing for the lights. But when you're shooting in location, you actually have to expose for the ambient if you want to get the stars and stuff like that. And then their light tools will be too bright. So understanding how to balance your tools and your background really like will take you to the next level.
Yeah, because people don't understand, if you've been shooting a studio, you kind of don't understand that your settings, the shutter affects ambient, but then like if you change your aperture, that is global. That'll affect both your ambient and your strobe. If you change your ISO, that affects both your ambient and your strobe. So like you have to kind of really, I think shutter drag really, when you really get into it, you're absolutely understanding how cameras work more, and you'll see other areas of your shots kind of expand more. It reminds me of my BMX days where the flatland guys, no one gave them as much respect, but it's like if you learned flatland, you were doing such crazier techniques on big ramps because you were so dialed in there. I think shutter drag, at least try it, right? What do you got to lose? It's not like when I learned on film where it cost me a lot every time I did it. You know?
And I think what's fun about it is it's such an experiment that once you start doing it, there'll be one picture that gets you hooked. You're like, wow. And then there'll be like 100 that are bad, but like it's that one shot that you nailed. And
you're
it
like,
keeps you coming back for more.
You're going to go, what else can I set on fire? You're gonna,
or that, yeah.
Because you start thinking like, well, how would this work with fireworks? Well, look at this LED strip I found at Home Depot. What would happen if I swing this thing around? And then someone's going to go, can you spell my name? How many people ask you for that? Like, can you write my name? But there's plenty of, it's a baseline to deliver something. Like I remember seeing promos for your next workshops written out in shutter drag, and I was like, that's some way to stop somebody, right?
Yeah. And it's fun if you can even film it in real time, so you can watch it develop. And that's what you can do with the Olympus. You can watch it develop in real time.
Yeah, the OM system has a lot of stuff in it that people sleep on because it's not talked about. But what people have to realize that because the sensor's smaller, there's less data to process that way. It opens them up to so many other things computationally that they can do. And I think you'd be surprised what's in those cameras. Gavin knows all about this stuff.
Right.
And I thought you were a Sony shooter forever. And then you were basically like, no, I shoot everything.
I dabble in everything because I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
So if I lead these photography adventures, I have to kind of know every system.
Right.
So I actually just tried out the Nikon, which was cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been anti-Nikon my whole career because when you start off Canon, Nikon's the enemy.
You're being filmed with one right now. You're being filmed with one right now.
But it was fun. And now I kind of feel like well-versed. I speak a lot of camera languages. And I see that each camera has its own little like niche, beautiful element. And
their philosophy is different.
Exactly. And just learning the menu systems, and the buttons are a little bit funky. And some of them I love. Some of them I'm like, why would they choose this?
Right.
And I'm sure you think that a lot too. But it's kind of fun to know each camera system. So I've kind of dabbled in all of them just to get to know them a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think when you learn one and then another one, you almost kind of know what you're looking for a little bit more because you're like, actually, I like it when it has a third dial. I don't care if it has a third dial, or I want this to be easier accessibility. Like for me, one of the game changers when I got into the Nikon Z system was the internal grip custom buttons. I'm never taking the camera down now. I'm not looking for a button. It's right there, and I'm like playing an accordion. He sees me shooting. I'm like playing it's like I'm playing an accordion while I'm shooting. But that meant a lot to me, and so when I look a lot of custom buttons, I'm like obsessed like where they are on systems now because I want to know what I can do with it to make it my own. But the one thing that's got to drive you crazy at workshops, which drives me crazy, is everybody has a custom camera now.
I know.
Back in the day, you granted someone a camera with shutter
it.
speed, aperture, and you shot. Now it's like every button is programmable.
Yeah, I said, like, so where did you program the aperture? Like, that's the first question. It's like, what? It's like, it shouldn't be programmable. It should be right there. It should be easy, but
She doesn't want you to have freedom, guys. No freedom.
They
None.
made it the back spinning wheel. I don't know why
Well,
they do that.
I'm waiting for cameras to make every button a glowing OLED that you change, and it'll show you what it is.
Oh, that's
So there's no more
helpful.
markings. The button becomes marked.
I'm waiting for it to just know in my mind what I want, and it just changes.
It'll be in here at that point.
Exactly. It's
They're
just
gonna,
a blink.
yeah,
That'll
Elon
be the
Musk's gonna
camera.
be like, just hold still. And it's gonna drill into your head.
I'm taking a picture right now.
That's what Google Glasses were. Remember that?
How come that never took off?
It was because they started out at $1,500,
Oh,
and they weren't that great.
Okay.
And I think if you saw someone walk around with that, I'd be like, I'm going to rob that guy. I think he's got some.
probably has
Just
some
me?
money. You're
Yeah,
right.
just me?
Yeah.
So what is when you got into the OM system? Did you know about the live comp first, or were you looking for that kind of? Were you looking for shutter drag tools? Is what I'm asking.
I heard about that they
Okay.
could do live comp, and I said, well, I need to check this out. And it took me a couple tries to get used to it because it's different than any other camera.
It is, yeah.
I had to understand what the base exposure
cute,
was.
though.
Yeah, they're cute. And they're so portable. I love it. Like I could fit all my camera lenses in a side satchel bag. I have a telephoto that goes to 400. I have a
it's like this big.
Exactly, 1635. I feel like it's actually as big as this, like all my lenses.
Yeah, I believe it. And it's super weatherproofed, which is great for what you're doing because you're everywhere. Yeah. I mean, you're literally in the desert, man.
It's true. And I don't have to, that's the biggest thing. I don't have to carry my huge Shimoda bag with me just weigh me down.
Everything's huge for you though.
True.
So when you look for locations in the wild, are you specifically looking for places that don't have light pollution?
Not really, because I feel like I shoot a lot out of Las Vegas. I go to like a lot of ghost towns. I go to Badlands. Light pollution is really a hindrance when you only want to shoot astro. But when I'm doing light painting, if there's some light in the sky and I see some stars, that's okay.
Okay.
But when I want to do let's say Milky Way core, I'll go to Trona Pinnacles and I'll go to the Alabama Hills because there's no light pollution there. I'll go really, really out there because then I want to make sure it's about the stars and it's about the landscape. But it depends what I'm shooting.
Do you use GPS at all for all this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have a couple apps I like to use. I use one called Gaia.
Okay.
It helps me track my locations. I'm able to put pictures in. I'm able to mark my territories because when we're doing this, I'm always scouting. So even when I'm on vacation, I'm like, this is a good place to come back to, take a picture, scout my location.
Start on Google Maps.
Exactly. Download all the maps from Google. It's like such a procedure. Like traveling with me is like traveling with someone who's like making notes on everything.
I'm sure you have the sickest location set list for anybody that's trying to do some stuff out. You've been doing this for so long and so all over the place.
Right.
That you must have so many locations mapped out. So what would you say to someone that goes, I'll just do it in AI. Why should I have to travel anywhere?
I feel like it's the experience. I mean, is it fun to sit down at your computer and type in exotic landscape with star trails, and a beautiful model, and then it pops up? Sure, that's cool. Wow. But is it as fun as getting to a location, seeing it in person, experiencing the wind in your hair? I mean, there's such a, exactly.
Yes.
Feel that wind.
What if you're bald?
Feeling the wind on your scalp.
Aerodynamic.
But there's something about actually being there, experiencing it, and then being able to share it. When you do something on AI, it's not really the same thing. I think it's cool. You can share with your friends, but can't take ownership. It's not really your own.
There's no conquest.
Right. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I've been like, wow, but it's not like you experienced it. You didn't have the food. You didn't see the sunset. You didn't get up for sunrise. You didn't do all those things.
Well, you're doing a lot with models too. And what if someone asks you specifically to do it and to do that shot for them? A lot of dancers work with you, which makes total sense because it's super glitz the way you do it. As sleek as it is, sci-fi as it is, it's glitz, man. It balances really well with the rhinestones and the costumes and the crazy way they pose. Dancers give you so much, right? And then just to match what you're doing with the lights, swirls, and all these things. What I also appreciate what you do is there's precision to it. There's some symmetry. It's not just random movements. You're choreographing yourself while you're shooting people who choreograph themselves for a living. It's if you really think about what you're looking at in your images, there's a level to it on both sides.
It's true. And I think symmetry is key. I like to make sure, I like to attempt to create symmetry because then I think it draws your eye to your subject. But I definitely think there's a lot of thought process that goes into the pictures. Sometimes there isn't though.
So is it always you painting or you send someone else to do it while you're shooting?
So a lot of the things I do is myself, but I like to actually incorporate my team. So my team could be my partner Cliff, or it could actually be my friend Joe, or it could be my students. So when I do a workshop, it's actually my goal to get people to feel empowered to do light painting. A lot of people get intimidated because they see how perfect I'm doing it. But I say, guys,
did you see how perfect I am?
I mean,
they're so intimidated by my perfection.
No, it's only because I practice. It's only because I practice. And if they practice, they could do it too. And to be honest, if you actually hung out with me, you'll see that I don't do them all perfect.
You're the most least intimidating person I could think of, literally. I can't imagine going out to a crazy location and you're going, we're going to paint with light, and go, all right, I don't know. What are you kidding me? I would probably be so hyped up. What do you have to lose? It's pixels.
Exactly, it's true.
If I think the only intimidation that could happen from that is if they booked a shoot with someone going I'm going to make this happen in front of your face, and they keep on falling on it. But this is where you get to kind of play in the mud a little bit.
That's where
Literally.
they're learning. It's a learning experience.
And I'm
So-
sure you push them too, right? Like
I do.
challenge them.
I do, because I think once it's really, to be honest, the really fun part is being the painter. So I don't mind being the
Oh,
painter.
really?
Yeah. But being the spectator is a great experience to be like, wow, how did that happen? I saw. But being the person who is the artist, when you see what you've created in the darkness, then you feel empowered to do it again and to change it a little bit. It's an addiction. I'm not going to lie. I'm addicted to doing this.
I can see it's like nonstop on your page here. I mean,
Well,
you know,
I just did a workshop, so a lot of my feed is it at the moment, but it's because every time you do it, you know there's something a little bit different that you can actually do. You can change with it and modify, and you just keep going.
well, it's funny how many factors go into light painting. One of the things that people don't realize is you reflect, and you have to worry about what you're wearing.
Sure.
I actually did something in a graveyard a million years ago in my film days, and I wore a ski mask because my face was showing up.
You're too white.
Yeah. Well, you know, we didn't have the same lights we had back then, right?
Sure.
So it was just like halogen, whatever I could find, blowing light everywhere, you know? And back then I didn't know as much grip. I mean, this has got to be like 2002, 2001 maybe. Oh God. and I used aluminum foil as cinefoil. And
that's great.
cinefoil's black. Aluminum foil, not so
Reflective,
much.
sure.
So yeah, I'm like putting bandanas around my face. I'm covering myself with black gloves. People don't realize how many things pollute an image when you leave the shutter open for that long. It's like leaving the door open. It's as insecure as that, you know? But man, you look at you're nonstop. Look at this.
I just came back from actually Las Vegas. I did a workshop out there at a ghost town, and then I went to Badlands Basin and Badwater Basin. Actually, that picture right there.
This one?
Badwater Basin is the lowest place in Death Valley, and it filled up with water because of a hurricane. But it's also the driest place on earth, so it's very rare for this to happen. And that is not a dry lake, but it's a salt basin.
That's pretty slick.
So we had about 2 inches of water. I was able to convince a model to come out from Las Vegas, drive 2.5 hours, and pose in the freezing cold out there. And we did these great shots, and it was just amazing. We had no moon, lots of stars, and she stood there in a dress in the cold, and it was just amazing. But this is just a light tube with 2 light tubes, one with the red gel and one with the blue gel, just dancing around in the water.
Well, I mean, the water reflecting a mirror back, you rarely see that in a lot of rooms because it's always dry.
Right.
So I think this is really cool. I mean, this is something I could see like, I want to do it with cars because I used to drag headlights a lot and do that as the light
Sure.
painting. But like a reflection, like all that stuff, like you could throw this at whatever subject you want. The hard part is making it your own.
Right.
You know, because after a while, unless you have a specific way you're orchestrating your light painting, it could easily look the same. So what would you do to try to tailor to make it always your type, your style?
I just incorporate a lot of different things. I don't know if I have a complete style.
Yeah.
I feel like I use a lot of different tools.
Yeah.
I think I'd say my style is very colorful.
I'd say so.
I use a lot of Nanlite products, and their T8 tube, you can see right there, is featured. That one is featured with a changing color. So it changes it's an LED stick, and it changes a bunch of colors.
Yeah, that's what these are.
It's amazing.
8-foot tubes, man.
So yeah, Nanlite, they're leading the way in light painting.
Yeah, I did the a long time ago on our channel. On this channel, there's a Paris video where I did a rainbow ghost on an SFX character, and that was an RGB light that we were just rotating through colors. But because the shutter is open for so long and they're moving, as let's say red, blue, green, they're only staying there for so long. So that becomes the shutter speed, right? So red, then their ghost becomes blue, then becomes green, then there's a flash. You get that whole trail because that's what was reflecting off of them at that time. So Susan here is doing similar, right? That's what that light stick was, yellow at that time, purple at that time in the exposure. It just happens to be that it's the light that's changing rather than that becomes the shutter speed almost for that color. Gosh.
Take a sip.
Yeah, but once you get it,
Yeah.
it totally makes sense. Like it sounds like gibberish unless you've done it. I think there's a lot of very interesting light technology coming out. I think we're going to start seeing, you're going to have a blast. Things get smaller, brighter, faster flicker rates. Also, what drove me crazy was a long time ago, the RGB lights weren't so smooth and they looked like dots.
Right.
And sometimes you want that, but sometimes you just want what you're getting, which is a nice even flow. It took a while for that to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Technology keeps improving, thankfully.
Have you, has there ever been something you picked up that just was like, this is just not the look I'm looking for? Like this light in my head probably would have been awesome. Or you're just like, no, I can make it work. It looks cool like this anyway.
I mean, I think I use a lot of different tools. If I don't like it and it doesn't work after a couple of tries, it's happened with a lot of my tools. Like this Nan light, at first it was, one of my frustrating points was it didn't turn on and off on a dime. And for me, I want to just do one thing and then turn it off. So now I've incorporated by moving through my frame. It's just about modifying what you're doing to make a tool work. And now if I have the app, you can turn it on and off with the app.
Right.
So that means I need someone turning on and off with the app. But you just have to kind of modify it. So I'm pretty much, if I love a tool, I'll figure out a way to use it.
It's really funny that you say that because I've actually asked for this and no one understood why I wanted it, and now you just explained it. I want a dead man switch on a light so that when I squeeze it, it's on, and when I let go of it.
Yes.
So can you imagine, even if you're a wedding shooter and you have someone that's just running around with a light, they squeeze, it's on, they drop it, they're not burning battery, they're not looking for the switch, it doesn't boot up and boot down, because now lights have to actually boot up.
Pressing it.
It says like the brand name for a second and you sit there.
Yeah, I know, right?
So when did you get into town? Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. And then that's like always what it is. I want Nan light, dead man switch, make it happen.
Come on.
My desk by 3:00. That's my new thing. I'm going to make a shirt. Is there anything that you're still hoping comes technology-wise for what you're doing? Because I feel like you're in such a weird spot that you probably have something in your head that you're hoping will come to fruition.
It's interesting. A lot of the lights that they're making are too bright to use for astro. So like a lot of the lights I use.
At 1%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like a lot of, I know.
And degel it.
Because you got to think about it. When you're doing star photography, you're shooting at a higher ISO, 3200. You're shooting at wide open because you're trying to get the stars. And then think about how bright that light is. And if you leave it on for longer than a second, then it's actually going to be too bright. So then I have to modify the lights. I add a strip of tape to kind of cover half of it. And it would just be easier if it just was dimmer.
Why don't you put ND gels on it, though?
Well, if it's a colorful thing, on the gel itself?
An ND gel, you can get as dense or as, not dense as you want, and you can just wrap the light on it.
I could try.
You can knock out a stop
idea.
or two.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to buy some today here at Adorama.
We should try that. If I actually am curious if that will inhibit your color.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like.
There could be a color shift, but like you could dial it because she's using an RGB light. So.
Yeah, these are the things I'd like to try out. So thank you guys for giving me that idea.
Yo, we're going to try that today. Yeah. I wonder if an ND gel would knock that. How many stops do you think it burns over?
Well, I did a test in my living room, and I was at 100 ISO, or 100, I was at 1%, and I was at, so I try and do it like the settings I would be doing it at 3200, and at 1%, it was like way bright. So
it's probably reflecting off your walls too, though.
I was just kind of guiding the brightness of the tool.
Man, now or you could do a net. You could actually put like how you put in front of Ari's. They knock out a stop by putting a net there, so that wouldn't inhibit color.
All right. Are you talking like a grid?
I want to try this like right now.
Go get it.
It's like finish the show. That's cool though. Maybe honestly, you got to let me know if this works out. Either a net or actually, I think the net might. No, because if the net's touching the light, it's still going to spread.
So it might register to a certain point.
They're not hearing him, so I'm not going to keep on talking to Fernando.
Right. We'll figure it out, and when we figure it out, we'll
Anyway, there's a question in the chat from Michael Brown. Lovely shots. When do you know when to stop before it gets, quote unquote, messy? How many takes do you do before each shot?
So messy means maybe you added too much light.
Yeah.
I think there's always the chance of going too much overboard. So I like to actually try simple things. So I start off with one movement, then I add a second movement, then I add a third movement, and it's kind of a build. So I start off slow and build, and then I say, oh, too much. Now it's getting too complicated, or you're missing the kind of flow. But what was the second question? Is it
how many shots do you take?
Oh, how many shots do I take? I guess it depends on the scene, because first you take a shot for the ambient, so deciding what you're going to expose for, and then you test the light source, and then you kind of get into the light painting and the designs. So it could be like 4 or 5, it could be 20 as I build the shot. So there's no real set answer for that, but it's a good question.
How did you get down your movements to be so symmetrical? Because it looks like they're so random, but then you see that it's matched on the other side, and I'm like, she has to be doing beats or counts or something. I honestly would love to see a series from you where you team up with someone and do the beats from their album as the painting.
That's a good idea, matching music.
You can even do their artist portrait, like a musician's portrait, and the music is in the image.
I'm actually doing, that's a good idea. I'm doing actually a professional violinist. So I don't know if we're going to set her violin on fire with some fiber optics.
Oh, yeah, you
I'm
are.
not sure what we're going to do. But now I'm going to say, hey, why don't you play? And I'm going to do some light painting to your beats.
That's
I'm
cool.
going to try it.
It'd be cool if you can make her strings light, like that, the fiber optic string. Could they
Yeah.
even? Because it's just at the play, right?
It is. Well, I could do that, or I have like a very minuscule light. I could kind of just light the strings if she can stay really still.
Yeah,
That's a cool
that'd
idea.
be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
And then I'm going to try some Seth techniques where she moves
Do it.
and gets the drag.
Get that hair flip. Do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because I do. Did you have to take any kind of like consideration to your own choreography? Did it take you a while to kind of get good at it? Because I feel like I can't dance. I would unless it's like a mosh. I can't do anything. So like, I can't imagine.
To be honest, it's never perfect. I end up kind of stumbling because you're stumbling in the dark. Think about that. You have
Oh,
to kind
right.
of say,
There's a
I'm
rock in
walking in the
Sedona.
dark. There's a rock. So,
Step on a raccoon.
if I get it perfect, like I'm really excited about it. But sometimes I'll like fix it in post. If something got like really out of shape, I can fix the light painting. I'm an artist in the end, like
You're trying to get to an end result.
so I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, everything needs to be exactly right in camera. Hey, if I goofed a little bit and there's a little light spill, I'll fix it.
Right. Right.
If I'm a little bit ziggy when I want to be zaggy, I'll fix that too. Technical terms. They're technical.
If you guys have any questions for Susan, this is why it's live, guys. You're allowed. And if you're in that chat and you're digging this, hit like. This is our 12th episode. Can you believe it? This is the 12th week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is awesome. And you're the last one for 23. Congratulations.
Woo.
Boom. Speaking of going to Vegas and stuff, are you going to be at any of the shows? WPI, Imaging, any of them?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be at WPPI.
Sick. Me too.
I'm leading a photo workshop immediately after WPPI. So if anyone wanted to come out to a ghost town and do light painting, I'll be there for 4 days. You guys should come. Adorama.
I think we're bouncing out last day.
Cancel that plan.
Whoa.
Cancel that
It would be
plan.
kind of cool.
Come. I mean, it'd be really cool.
How far away from the strip is it?
1 hour.
Oh, an hour.
I know. We could even go one night during.
An hour in Vegas is forever.
I mean,
An hour in New York is getting to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
An hour in Vegas might be another state.
an hour in Vegas is like you're in the desert, like the high desert. No, it's cool. It's worth it because it's like, I mean, how much of the strip can you really take?
None of it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely none of it. It's like Times Square. I don't want to live there.
Right. So
Yeah.
as soon as you have your fill, you get we'll hit up a car. We'll head to the desert. We'll head to Ghost Town. We'll get some models. We'll do some light painting.
I think a perfect place for you would be the neon sign graveyard. Like you do your lights in a graveyard of lights. I think that'd be sick if you
have
could
you
figure.
done this? I always feel like it's so complicated. Like they don't allow tripods. I don't know.
I haven't shot there.
Yeah,
No,
me
I've been there. They seem like they just want anyone to come through
Really?
there. Like,
Okay.
please come check out the
Okay.
museum. And if you went once, you've been a million times. I
Sure.
feel like there's never any extra signs that got thrown away after like the last 20 years or whatever. So there's a question in the chat from Night J. What are your thoughts on AI photo editing software? And so not just AI to generate, but AI editing. So if you gave it to it and said, hey, make it symmetrical,
If it did that, that'd be great.
it would be cool, right?
I don't know if they do that, but I'm sure I could. I know I could like generate fill the edges, and I'm sure I can copy and paste the symmetrical thing. But I mean, I think any AI tools that can make our lives easier, I welcome. I don't want to have my whole art taken over by AI.
You
but
don't want Skynet making your images for you?
I mean,
You don't want a T1000 like just handing you your work?
I mean, if it's better than what I'm creating, I'll say, hey, I'll put my name on it.
At some point, I think you're going to get irritated. I think at some point when people discover your work, the first question they're going to ask you,
Is it AI?
is it AI?
Right.
It's going to get frustrating. It's just like when for a long time it was like, is this retouched? Is that Photoshop? Now it's going to be,
Right.
is that AI?
Right.
It's going to be a while. I mean, is there any aspect of AI that you think is going to make what you're doing by hand elevated somehow? Are you waiting for something that might like maybe recognize something else, or
Is there any form of the AI?
is there a limitation you're dealing with now?
I don't use AI too much in my light painting. I do use it for like landscape photography, adding in, subtracting, changing skies. I don't do that too much, but I feel like it's a great opportunity to do that. But
Make some happy trees. Just tap, tap, tap. Just tap, 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 tap.
get rid of some people that were in my shot, all those kind of things. Like you're
People
gone.
ruin everything.
You're gone.
You ruin
You're
everything. Okay.
So I don't know. I'll have to think on that one.
There is Lloyd's asking, do you adjust your color temperature based on the type of lights you're using or just using test shots?
I typically keep it on auto white balance until I have a problem.
Oh, interesting.
It is more consistent. So I'll put it on tungsten, or I'll put it on, I'll dial it in. Maybe I'll do 3900. It depends on what I'm shooting. If I'm shooting in like a place that's already like a cityscape with people, I probably don't change it. But when I'm shooting night photography and I want to make sure the sky doesn't turn crazy colors.
Interesting.
And I'll also add a light on my flash, because sometimes when I'm shooting fire, the fire will actually, real fire, like
It's oranges.
it'll turn the white balance so crazy. So that's when I notice that there's inconsistency happening, like my camera is doing wild things, I will make sure it's dialed in. But most of the time, actually, it's pretty good.
Wow, that's wild. I try to keep everything at, the way I approach shutter drag is everything on daylight white balance, because I can control the temperature of everything else. But you're dealing with an unknown factor, which is atmosphere, like moonlight. You don't know. If you guys don't know, like the color of your daylight can change based on where you are in the world. If you go to Coney Island here in New York, your daylight's going to look green, right, Fernando? Yeah. It looks crazy green if you just let it stay like that. If for whatever reason, whatever's in the air at that time is filtering our light and breaking it up and doing all sorts of things. So I can only imagine what the moon's doing, reflection off of like that clay like sand that you shoot in a lot. I can only imagine how weird it gets. Aurora Borealis happen. Who knows what's going on?
I'm actually headed to Norway.
I knew.
I'm leaving for Norway in February. I'm going there for the whole month.
The ultimate shutter drag.
I know. Okay.
But people don't realize that the northern lights aren't always there. Sometimes you'll go searching for it and they just don't happen.
I think it's caused by the sun exploding and creating the auroras.
So I'm sure there's a whole lot of factors, but I've seen online so many people complaining about tours they went on where it didn't even happen, and they're like, they can't control,
right?
They can't control the cosmos for you. Oh, that's a good one. What about denoise with AI? How do you feel about that?
Love it.
Okay. Do you use Topaz?
Yeah, I use Topaz. I also use Lightroom. I use both.
Okay.
So it depends on the Lightroom one. Only works if you don't have if you're shooting a JPEG, or if you have a TIFF, it won't work. It has to be like the raw file.
Okay.
So I'll try the Lightroom one. I'll try the denoise. I'll see what gives me a better product.
Okay. So since you're so tied to color, I want to see you elevate black and white shutter drag.
Ooh,
That's my challenge to Susan.
I have a couple of black and white ones post-process.
Can I find them?
You can. I have one. It's like a model. She's like a year behind. You'll find her.
You'll find her. She's there.
It was a Northern Lights picture.
You have so much landscape stuff. It's amazing.
Should be around here, but yeah, I would actually like to do a little bit more of that. This one I just turned because it was a simple design. She's wearing like a really cool...
That's the traditional shutter drag.
Exactly.
That is the New York.
And that was taken with the iPhone, believe it or not.
I believe it. I know. How do you feel about that? When you have a camera that's so computational, how do you feel about the phone being right there as well?
It's easy. I like to see, like I use the iPhone to see my compositions. I say, okay, this is worth taking my camera out and doing something really creative. And I also feel like the iPhone helps me to see the composition better. Does that Burning Man?
I was like, they couldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. There's a man behind her, and then also she's dressed crazy.
Whoa.
So this is actually a funny story. So, so I was working with this product. Can you see what the product was called? I'm going to kick myself. Spiffy Gear. But they actually changed their name to like KYU.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Because Gavin uses a lot of Spiffy Gear. Did you know that?
Yes.
They changed it?
It could be called Caillou. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but the letters are it's like KYU. It's such a cool bracelet. It's like a bracelet. It changes RGB. It's white balance. There's two different ones. So they sent me a bunch of pictures to demo and to create content for. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm on my way to Africa. What am I going to shoot? So it's actually funny. We're at this lodge and, the students are arriving the next day. And I was like, guys, I really need to create some content. So as a joke, we brought out one of their stuffed animals into their yard and light painted it.
Okay, here's what I thought happened. I
Okay.
thought you took the initial exposure and didn't shoot until you had
an animal come through.
I thought you held on to that for like a day. You're like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
multiple
imagine.
exposure.
Exactly.
That
So,
would be
so
some
this
crazy.
was kind of a joke. I sent it to them and they loved it, but I didn't also want to explain it because it takes some of the mystery out of it. Another idea I had was I could have taken like a lion, like a stuffed lion out, but then I thought that would be too. They would probably be unbelievable.
Well, this is believable. The stuffed lion probably wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I really thought that was like days of an exposure. Like you're like, no, I'm going to wait till I find something or whatever.
Oh, that wasn't. That was Batman.
Batman is I'll do the Batman one. So, what about going to Comic-Con? What about something like that?
That's my goal, man. I want to go to Comic-Con. I want to get a booth, or I want Comic-Con.
Oh, you want to get a booth?
Well, I think the whole thing is these Comic-Con people really love their costumes, right? Would they pay to have a light painting portrait?
Let's have this conversation. So I don't know if you watched my channel, but I did I talked to all the photographers of Comic-Con this year on my channel, and I was like, because they all fight for the shots really, and I'm always like, what are you giving them that someone else is giving? They don't care. They just want to shoot. And because you can walk in what we call the tunnel at the Javits Center, you can walk the tunnel as a cosplayer and be shot by not kidding you, probably 15 people with setups. So by the time they get in there, unless it's going to a publication, they usually wouldn't. They don't really aren't. And I've seen guys come and go at Comic-Con with booths because a million years ago I was like, I want to get a booth and shoot crazy stuff, and I always watched someone take a booth, never come back. Someone take a booth, never come back.
Yeah, it's expensive. You
It's
have to
expensive,
make
yeah.
so much money in order to even have a booth.
I think you'd have to offer them a print, and they'd have to be willing to walk around with it.
I know who really gets prints anymore.
Ooh,
Like
well,
who really like high schools.
I think
parents.
I think you'd be surprised. Well, for one, I think a lot of landscape people get prints. I think
Landscapes,
they're very
sure.
addicted to that. Of course, the wedding world and all that kind of stuff. That it's the product. But I think if you went to Comic-Con and think about what a cosplay is, it could cost someone maybe $1,000 and a year of building a costume. That's amazing.
Sure.
They'll get a print, then put it on their house and be like, and look, and don't forget they're streaming on Twitch, and now that's their background.
Right. And
You
then
know?
it's something different. The light painting would be different. So
It would also be super hard in the Javits
I'd
Center.
have to make like a
You'd have to make a tent.
A booth. Yeah.
Yeah, or ND the snot out of your. Actually, you know what? You probably could do with an ND filter on your lens. You just have to get used to the color tone you'd get. Actually, Nisi does a pretty good one.
And then I need a super bright light. I could use that nan light.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to tell me that 1% is too bright for what you're doing, imagine if you did like a 10 to 12 stop ND filter on your lens, knocked the hell out of it.
Right.
I think your hardest part would probably
But you
be
know
focus.
what? To be honest, with the OM1 camera, you don't even need to worry about the background so much. It's about now your subject not moving and flashing them in. So because I can underexpose the background. So let's say I found a darker part of the Javits.
Right. You're doing a multiple exposure.
Right. So I would underexpose the background, and then I just have to add the light. So it's not as hard as you would think, except for the ambient light might be in there a little
I'd
bit.
have to use that system a little more to really grip into it. But if you had to, I think you actually could do this. And I think I think there's all you need is like one big cosplayer to come up, and then they'll all be like, I need,
Yeah.
and then they all line up for it. I think. But I think if you gave them a print, I think you could do it.
All right. So does anyone have any connections?
We'll
Message
talk,
them in,
Susan.
message
We'll
them.
talk. We'll talk.
Good, good.
We'll talk. We love when we get nerdy. But I think you need a subject that can hang with the ridiculousness of your lighting. You can't just do like a very vanilla, boring looking person
Yeah,
there. You know,
but I'd have to be under 30 seconds. And I do, most of my exposures are under 30 seconds. So everything you see here,
that's a lifetime.
I know.
That's a lifetime. Anyone that shoots longer than the 125th, they're like, the cat, I gotta put it down. I mean, what shutter drag really is if you ever shot film, it's the 37th exposure on the roll, and you were like, oh, it's kind of weird. I like it. That's what shutter drag really is about. So, do you have any tours or anything coming up you want to promote? Anything that people should know about?
So I
put up
leave
your
for
social.
Norway. I'm headed to Norway actually this week. Next month, and then after that, I'm going to Las Vegas for WPPI.
Nice.
And then after that, if you guys want to join me after WPPI at the light painting workshop I'm doing in Nevada, I'm going to Death Valley afterwards. afterwards. So if you want to come do landscapes,
If you guys want to come to Death Valley,
Death Valley, light painting,
Crazy, man.
and then after that, I'm going to the Dolomites with the Venice extension. So if you want to
Jeez.
eat good food, drink some good wine, take some pictures of some mountains,
how big are your workshops? Like how many people usually go on a trip?
10 max.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice
and I
and
have
chill.
a co-teacher, Clifford Pickett, comes sit with me.
Oh, I know Clifford. Yeah, he's been here a million years ago in the old space. That's cool.
And then I have a couple retreats coming up. So for the people, I feel like the con of doing all these workshops is people take gorgeous pictures but never really get to them or never do anything with them. So I'm planning a full retreat where we actually do the editing. And we sit there, so we'll shoot in the morning, we'll edit during the day, and then at the end you'll have something to show from it, whether it be like a 16 by 24 print, we'll spread on locations, an album. Because I think that's like one of the key things that workshops miss is like you
The
have
finish.
the fun experience, you don't do the finish.
I think a lot of people shoot and then it goes on a drive.
Right.
And then we never teach the pick the image, stick to it, commit to it. Because I think that's what you learn from printing is this is the shot. Not here's 50 of them. I've given up completely on life. So so all the shots I do, like you guys see on my Instagram, if we do like 1,000 different setups, I just throw all the shots into a video and I'm like, there you go. That's a slideshow. I'm not even going to look at them. You pick it. But I think what you're doing is so deliberate and intentful. Sorry. Getting to a print is like the epitome of like that's what belongs in the world. You can't ever turn it off. It's right there.
And I think if you shoot for that mindset, I think a lot of people don't ever shoot with the end goal. And like, that's fine too. I mean, I don't always have intentions with my
That's true.
shooting. Like, I'm just like go out to shoot. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to go to the Dolomites and I want to create an album or book, and I want to have 30 images. So if every day you say, I have 30 days of this trip, I wish it was a 30-day trip. It's not.
That's a
It's
long
only
trip,
10
dude.
days. But let's say you had 2 pictures a day. You say, today I want to have 2 pictures from today that I love. I want to have 2 pictures. Or, you just get into this mindset of saying, okay, this is an amazing sunrise. I want to have a picture from today. And you say, okay, got my picture. Then you can kind of move on in your mind. You're shooting with purpose.
No, that's we always talk about that because at least here we always say it's a language, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not really sure what you're saying, no one's going to connect with it. Period.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are some questions in the chat. Ben's asking, how long have you been doing photography, and which photographers do you like or inspire you?
Oh, good question, Ben. So I started doing photography actually right after high school. Actually, I interned at a newspaper in my senior year of high school, and my first year of college, they started hiring me as a photojournalist. So that was back when photojournalism was a thing, and we could shoot film. That's how long ago.
I have hope. Come on. What are you doing?
I shot film back then.
Yeah,
so
man.
I moved on to doing event photography. So it's been really my whole career. I did set photography, photographing for the Food Network, and doing a bunch of things. And now I've kind of evolved to doing workshops and still doing commercial work and even weddings on occasion. So when the right job arises, I love to take it. I like having my hands in lots of different buckets
I'm sure
because it keeps you sharp.
brides look at the light painting stuff and they're
Yeah.
like,
I know.
George, I want this. I don't know why George, but George.
I called it my signature shot. So I was like, well, we need to do your signature shot. And we're going to do light painting after the sun sets. So make some time after you have your cocktails. And
How cheesy did they get? They're like, I want a heart like this around both of us. I want our foreheads touching, a light behind us, and a heart.
Yeah. I haven't had too. No one really understands what it is, to be honest. If they did, I think that would be more of it, more understanding. But they just kind of come and they just watch me dance around, and by that point, they've had a couple cocktails, so they're just like, "Wow, cool."
I think the most literal thing I would want a couple to have light painting wise is the date that it happened as the shot, and that's as literal as I would give them.
Okay.
And then everything's got to be abstract, weird.
I like
craziness.
it. That's a great idea.
You're welcome.
Thank
Look at
you.
this presets. I'm giving you all this stuff. I'm setting you up, lady.
Thank you.
all
I knew
right.
I came here for a reason. When,
Yeah.
when you said photographers I admire, Seth.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And also, I'd like to say Eric Perret. He's actually the founder of this type of tube light painting that I do. If you don't know his work, check him out. He does really amazing things with multi-cameras now. Do you know Seth Perret?
Yeah. I know the work. I don't know him. Yeah.
But his work is really amazing.
It's kind of crazy how the light painting thing. So for a long, this has been on for a long time. Sorry, guys. The light painting thing. I remember for years ago they were trying to sell you the pixel stick, right? Which was this thing that
Right.
was like whatever. Then tubes just exploded, and I'm like, man, if these tube companies just realize what other people were using, because tubes were really kind of a thing that filmmakers did because you could hide them and they could mimic like ceiling lights, but they would be cleaner. But then when photographers got a hold of them, we were like, we want to do weird, crazy things and make them blink
Sure.
on this half and do weird things on
Sure.
that half. I think both video and photographers elevate the manufacturers. And I'm pretty sure half of what you're doing, they're like, what if we did this? What if we made it do that? I'm sure you're causing some engineer a lot of heartache right now.
I've sent them a lot of notes.
I'm sure you have. Has anything come true?
You know, I feel like it's still in development. There's never been like the next gen yet. I'm hoping that I'll see the next gen, and then I'll say like courtesy of Susan Magnano's wishes.
But how cool would it be if it's just firmware now, right? It
Right.
just has to be an update, you know? I mean, I could see you having your own, like how they put black on the back of the tube, your own signature color, whatever you want. But like Dead Man Switch, we're going to do it. We're going to keep pushing them. Nan Light, we're both coming for you. Dead Man Switch, we want it. Cool, man. Well, this was, this just flew.
I know. I could hang out here. Let's get another coffee.
Yeah. You got like a keg there. What's going on here? Oh, man. What's going on, guys? So what's next besides the workshops? Do you have anything like major projects?
Ooh, I'm working on some personal projects. I kind of want to. It's hard because I live a lifestyle where I'm traveling for a lot.
Yeah, you were gone.
But I also want to like gain some roots. So I'm in like like how do I put down roots? But I'm traveling all the time, so I'm trying to do a balance.
You sublet.
Hey, get out of my apartment. I'm back.
Yeah. Airbnb.
So I'm kind of working on a couple ideas, still kind of information, but I'll keep you posted on how they go. But really thinking of doing some things like coming up with an online course, online painting, coming
Yeah,
up with a
'cause
book. You know, I feel like as a traveler, you're always on the go and planning the next thing.
Why don't you have a channel? Are you kidding me? Like you're going someplace, just document it. What are
Right.
you, crazy?
I know.
Then document the process of what your lunatic head did in the black of desert.
Can I hire you to come film me?
I am too busy, madam. Seriously, the first half of this year is crazy.
Yeah?
Louisville for imaging, Vegas twice for NAB and WPI.
And my ghost town workshop, good.
Is it really the day after? The
Yeah.
direct day after? Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Sweet.
And by the way, what drones are you bringing with you?
I have the Mavic 3.
Mavic 3. I feel like you had to if you're going to put lights to it, you kind of had to put a little bit of thought into the payload, huh?
So I don't put a lot of lights. I use aperture light.
Okay.
Like I use the
The
smallest
MC?
light.
The little, is it the MC? The MC light? No.
So it's a color one, and then you can put it up there and you could trigger it with your phone. So to be honest, I've done a lot of the ones that are built into the drone already, and then now I've started adding that one on. So it has to be light.
It
Because you
has
don't
to
want
be
to
light,
crash your drone.
Man, I think that's a really next level thing to think about, light painting with drones. I think that's,
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I want to see where you are this time next year after all that. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
But you guys stay up on Susan, man. She's chilling. You guys can check out all her work right here on social. Go hit follow. Go hit like on a bunch of stuff. Go say what's up. Be a mensch. Say hello.
Hello.
You know. But yeah, this has been great.
Thank
So
you, Seth.
I want to, of course, thank you for being here. But before we get out of here, I just want to say one more quick thank you to Intel for sponsoring this. You guys have all known Intel your whole lives, and they're up in their game every year with new processors, and they're in the latest laptops here at Adorama. So check out the link down below. And yeah, Susan, man, you're exhausting. I can only imagine what it's like to go to one of your workshops.
It is exhausting. We don't sleep.
She's like, I will wear you out. Yes. But stay up on her, and we will see you guys next year. Oh, wow. This is it for the year, huh? This is the last one for the year. My next guest will be Omar Gonzalez, January 3rd. I hope you guys all have a great holiday.
Happy holidays.
Hope you're in for a great new year. I think you're going to have a ridiculous year. You're always going
You too,
somewhere,
my
man.
friend.
Guys, stay up there. Stay creative. We will see you create no matter what. Hit like, subscribe, all the stuff, and we will see you guys next time. Later.
Later.